Hi, Daniel. It's really good to see you.
Hi, Mar. It's good to see you as well.
Okay, so before we get things going again today, I kind of just wanted to do a quick recap over the professional disclosure statement from last time. Mainly, I just kind of want to touch up on confidentiality and the limits of confidentiality again. And that is that everything that we're going to be talking about is going to remain totally private, totally confidential between the two of us, with the exception being if there is just threat to harm to yourself or others. That's the only time I'll have to report it. Okay, do you have any questions about this or anything else before we get started?
No, I'm good. Thank you for going over that again.
Of course, no problem. Um, so last time we started identifying how your anxiety shows up mainly at work. I think we talked about how sometimes you overthink when it comes to writing and sending emails, and also maybe losing sleep over or the night before a big presentation at work. So I would love to know kind of how have you been feeling regarding that and how it's been going this last week. Maybe to see if you have any updates, any particular moment that stand out from this past week.
Well, I had another presentation on Tuesday, um, and it wasn't even a big one or anything. It's just like a weekly thing, and someone different leads it every week. Um, but I still found myself just stressing about it the nights before, you know, as if it was a big one or anything. I just kept going over my slides and checking every word that I had in them, seeing if I should change anything, or even thinking about how I might mess up in general, you know. And I mean, I slept terribly the night before for sure. I could not sleep.
Okay. Well, that does sound pretty exhausting. Um, what were some of the thoughts that were going through your head while you were preparing the night before?
Just stuff like, what if I forget what I'm saying? Or, like I said, should I say this word instead of that? Or, what if people think I don't know what I'm saying? Or, uh, and I don't know. I guess, I mean, even after it went fine, I still found myself, questioning if I said the right thing or if I should have done this differently or that differently. So I don't know.
Okay. So even after you did the presentation and it was over, you the anxiety was still with you, like the worry didn't really stop.
Exactly. Um, I mean, it's like I didn't even actually mess up or anything, but I still felt that tightness in my chest. Like I felt somehow. I mean, I'm still replaying every little thing I said.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. I think you're showing again a lot of self-awareness for what's going on like internally. Uh, if I can ask, where do you think that need or that pressure to be perfect comes from?
Well, I guess I've always thought it's had to do with how I was raised. My parents have always been super, super proud whenever, I was on top of things, in school or in the clubs I was in, or just whatever it was that I was up to. But as soon as I didn't do well, it was that's just that instant disappointment, or you know, they would just kind of pull away naturally. Um, so I guess I only really feel okay if I'm excelling at you know whatever it is I'm doing. That feeling kind of been there a while, so I guess it's
Yeah. Um, well, I think that that makes a lot of sense. And well, thank you for really thinking about that question and making that connection. I think that that's really good. Um, so you're kind of seeing that your self-worth is tied to your performance. And when you're not meeting your own standards or in the past, the standards of your parents, that's kind of when the anxiety starts kicking in.
Right. I mean, yeah, I I think so. I mean, and I probably carried that into work. You know, as we, like those emails we've talked about, even small mistakes feel so huge.
Yeah. I think uh, that this is something that we can and should probably focus on today, like dig a little bit deeper on. And if you're okay with it, there's a technique called cognitive restructuring that I'd like to try with you today. Basically, it's a way of starting to identify these automatic thoughts that come up when we're in certain scenarios. And then when we start really thinking about these thoughts, we can start challenging them and then replacing them consciously with thoughts that are a little bit more balanced. Do you want to maybe give it a try?
Sure. I mean, I'd like that.
Okay, great. Um, so we can start with what you brought up today, the presentation. We can start with that as an example. So, can you try to walk me through a particular moment the day of the presentation, regarding the presentation, a particular moment that kind of stands out to you?
Mm, sure. Um, I do remember right before I started, my voice was getting a little shaky. Just talking to the people around me, I noticed it was getting a little shaky, and I was already saying which is already a thing for me in my head. So I just started thinking, everyone's gonna notice, and they're gonna think I'm not confident, or you know,
Okay, okay. So we can work with that thought. So you thought they'll think that I'm not confident because you were mumbling a little bit. So that was a thought. They'll think that I'm not confident. So can you think of any evidence that points to that?
I don't know. I guess I don't know what you mean by evidence
Okay,
necessarily.
there. So you were, like you explained, you were mumbling, right? And that's you, that's kind of like was adding to your anxiety, adding to your nerves that you thought that your colleagues would know that you're not confident. So, what are you basing that thought on? Like, what is your evidence for that thought? Uh, is there anything in that environment that you were observing at that time that supported that idea that you had?
Well, I guess one guy did look bored, but he does. I guess he does always look like that.
Okay. Um, so now I guess think about it the other way. Can you try to think of any evidence to the contrary of what you thought?
Well, now that you mention it, I mean, no one said anything negative at all. And my boss even said good job on the way out. And then even later in the day, one of my coworkers asked a follow-up question, which I guess means they're paying attention if they're asking a question.
Okay, well, I think that that's really great insight to think of. Um, so if we've challenged that original thought that you had, can you think of a way to reframe it?
Mm, I mean, maybe that the nervousness is just like a me thing. I mean, no one else seemed to notice how nervous I was.
Right. Okay. So even though you were still nervous, you were still able to get your point across, right? During the meeting, you were still able to do the objective of the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I was nervous, but I still got my points across, and people probably weren't focused on every small thing like I was.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say that that's definitely a more balanced way of looking at it. It acknowledges you're feeling that you're feeling nervous, but it doesn't spiral you into like um, a down self-criticism lane, right?
Yeah, I mean, it feels much less heavy thinking about it that way.
Okay, awesome. That's what I was hoping for. Um, so I think you're doing really well, kind of grasping that exercise. I think you're really getting it. So I'd love to help you build this skill a little bit more between this session and next week's session. So I think that one thing that we can do to help, it's called a record worksheet. It guides you basically through those same steps that we work through with that example. So you write basically, you fill in the situation, like the presentation, and you also write the unconscious or the automatic thought. And then the third component is the emotion that got risen when you thought that thought. And then evidence for or against, like we practice. And then the more balanced thought.
Okay. I mean, I think that would definitely help me catch those thoughts in the moment. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you might not be able to like write them right as soon as that moment, but still reflecting afterwards should be able to help. So great. For homework, I think you can fill out like three of those thought records. Um, yeah, just through the course of the week. And then you can use, real situations, work, personal life, anything that triggers that anxiety that we've been talking about.
I can do that. Three things, yeah.
Okay. And then, yeah, like at next week's session, we can go over maybe one or two of them, and maybe kind of start seeing or noticing any patterns that are coming up. It could also probably help us refine, the goal that you want to focus on, like the long-term goal for our work here together, what we're going to be doing. Um, and going along with that, I was actually kind of wondering what you were thinking in regards to that. Um, Kind of how would you put into words your goal for counseling right now?
Honestly, I'd really just like to stop beating myself up so much. Um, I want to keep striving to feel okay, even if I'm not perfect. Um, whether it's work or my personal life or with my parents, as we just talked about. Um, that feeling's been there a while, so I guess right now that I would say that is my main goal is, just stop beating myself up so much. Um, I know people who say they're their biggest fans, and that's like just something, or they're their own biggest fan, and that's just hard for, me to even grasp. So
Okay, well, I really think that that is an excellent goal. Um, and we can kind of phrase that as the goal is going to be to reduce anxiety and to reduce self-criticism by learning to challenge perfectionist thinking.
that sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I think that that's a good, solid goal that we have now. And we have your homework for next week. It's going to be writing three of those thought records. Um, I'll send you a digital version too, so that it's easier for you to fill out and you can print it out, do whatever you want with it. And I just want to say, since it's the end of the session, that I think you're really showing a lot of insight. And I can see your motivation. And I think that that's really going to help us in the work that we're going to be doing in the long run. So I'm really happy about that.
Thank you. Uh, it feels really good to talk it out like this and just see different ways to think. Because I don't want to sound like a broken record, but like I said, that feeling's just been there for a while. So I guess just kind of felt like a safe place to stay at and operate under. But just already seeing that there is a whole other side to that, just motivates me even more than I already was. So, um, I'm very happy with how this has all gone. So,
Well, that it's incredible. I'm really happy to hear that. And I think that you're doing really, really great work. Okay. So see you next week, same time.
same time, that works for me.
All right. See you then. Yeah.